Discover the Hidden Journey, an Arab millionaire's touching act changed a waitress's life forever. In the heart of a struggling urban neighborhood, the little diner, Mel's Place, buzzed with a symphony of sizzling grills, laughter, and the chatter of hopeful voices. Inside, 22-year-old Sarah danced from table to table, her warm smile as bright as the neon lights illuminating the entrance. Each plate she served was a piece of her heart. She dreamed of becoming a nurse, but reality had other plans, leaving her to juggle school, work, and the responsibility of raising her younger brother, Josh. Their single mother worked tirelessly, and every moment counted. This was the everyday grind, the American dream wrapped in a delicate embrace of struggle. After serving a reduced-price lunch special at a local charity event nearby, she stood behind the counter, wiping down tables with an energy that belied her exhaustion. It was an ordinary afternoon when Amir walked in. An aura followed him, his tailored suit and confident stride contrasted starkly with the faded checkered floors of Mel's. With deep-set eyes and a warm smile, he looked like someone out of a magazine. The moment their eyes met, Sarah felt a strange flicker of something she couldn't quite identify. But before she could ponder it further, he ordered, and she served him with her usual flair. Unbeknownst to her, Amir saw more than a waitress behind the counter. He saw a fighter, someone echoing resilience against the odds. As he prepared to leave, the sounds of the diner faded away. Their eyes locked one last time, a moment dripping with possibility. But in his rush, Amir left behind a wallet, thick with cash and important documents, cards swirling with the potential of change for a community center he dreamed of establishing for the youth of the neighborhood. When Sarah discovered the wallet, her heart raced. Inside was a world of dreams interwoven with her own. But she hesitated, charcoal clouds of self-doubt hovering over her head. What could a simple waitress offer to a millionaire? Yet, she couldn't shrug off the call to action. She had to search for him. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications, so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The day she mustered the courage to reach out, her home felt tense. Josh was agitated, and their mother's face reflected an exhaustion that cut deep. Why can't you just focus on work or school, Sarah? We can't afford more distractions. The words turned heavy, echoing the expectations looming over her. Then disaster hit. An unexpected incident at the diner stirred chaos, leaving Sarah shaken and questioning everything she held dear. It felt like the threads holding her life together were unraveling, fraying at the edges. Later, as Sarah confronted Amir, their shared struggles came to light in a wave of emotion. Could two people from contrasting worlds truly unite to foster change in a community bound by barriers? Their journey just began, giving hope where there had once been despair, igniting within Sarah the courage to pursue her dreams. But lingering questions hung in the air. Would she find her place in the world, and could Amir truly dismantle the prejudices that haunted their lives? The call for redemption echoed louder as uncertainty loomed, leaving readers wondering what would unfold next in this unpredictable tale. The air was thick with anticipation as Sarah stood outside the diner, the dim glow of neon lights barely cutting through the evening gloom. She clutched Amir's wallet tightly, her heart hammering away in her chest. This wasn't just a lost wallet, it was a lifeline, a thread connecting her to a world filled with possibilities. She glanced around, her eyes scanning the nearby streets, where people rushed by, lost in their own lives. How many of them had dreams waiting to break free, just like her? Before she could overthink it, she took a deep breath and stepped forward. She needed to find him. She needed to return this wallet. But what if this moment could be about more than just that? Finding Amir's office was easier than she expected. His name was embossed on the brass plaque outside a sleek building, its glass exterior reflecting the bustling city. She hesitated at the entrance, anxiety tightening her stomach. What if he didn't even remember her? What if he thought she was just another girl looking for his money? But the glow of hope was stronger than her self-doubt. She pushed open the door and stepped inside. The lobby was surprisingly warm, a contrast to the cold exterior. She approached the receptionist, her voice shaking as she spoke. "Hi, I'm looking for Amir Al-Mansour. I have his wallet." The receptionist's eyes lit up, recognizing the name. "Just a moment, I'll let him know you're here." Moments later, Sarah fidgeted in the waiting area, her gaze wandering across framed photographs of Amir with children at community events, beaming smiles plastered on their faces. He walked in, exuding an effortless charm that made her heart skip. "Sarah!" His voice rang out, and she felt the weight of his gaze as he approached, surprise coloring his features. "You found my wallet. I can't believe you came all the way here." Suddenly, the air shifted between them. She felt a flutter of connection, a shared understanding beyond words. "I just wanted to return it, Amir," she said, meeting his eyes. "But I saw the plans you have for the community." Amir cut her off gently. "You saw that? I'm glad. But what about you, Sarah? What do you want for yourself?" His question hung in the air, heavy yet light, like a feather waiting to drop. No one had ever asked her that with such earnestness before. She swallowed hard, the truth tumbling out before she could stop it. "I want to be a nurse. I want to help people, like my mom does. But right now, it feels impossible." Amir's expression shifted, the warmth of compassion radiating from him. "It's not impossible. In fact, I think we could do something great together." Her heart raced at his words. Together? What did that mean? As excitement and uncertainty tangled inside her, he continued. "I'm starting a program for young adults, a way to empower them to chase their dreams. We could include scholarship, something for you." Tears formed in Sarah's eyes. This was more than she had ever hoped for. "You mean, I could really?" "Yes. But it'll take all of us. People like you, with grit, who are ready to change their lives." The possibility expanded in her chest like a flame catching air. But, as a wave of exhilaration washed over her, Sarah couldn't shake the nagging voice whispering doubts. Could she really step out of her comfort zone into this new world? Just then, a commotion erupted outside, breaking the moment. They could see through the glass doors, a group of young people running away from a confrontation. Sarah felt the urgency surge back in her chest. She turned to Amir, her voice trembling. "What about them? What about that kind of change?" He nodded, determination lighting up his face. "Then let's start right now." In that split second, a powerful choice opened up before her, a chance to raise the stakes not just for her dreams, but for others as well. And as she prepared to step out into the unknown, a new realization crashed over her. Sometimes, the most significant journeys begin when we decide to act, and together, they could be the change. The sun began to sink lower in the sky, casting a golden hue over the bustling city. But where would their first step lead? Would they stand firm against the turmoil awaiting them, or would the world's harsh realities pull them back? The question lingered, promising an adventure blooming on the horizon. Sarah's heart raced as she stepped towards the chaotic scene unfolding outside. The loud shouts and crashing sounds filled the air, drowning out the steady beat of her heart. She and Amir exchanged a look, a silent agreement passing between them. This was their moment. Without thinking, Sarah dashed towards the door, and Amir followed suit. They pushed through, exiting the cool comfort of the office into the hot buzz of the street. As they approached, she could see the source of the ruckus, a small group of teenagers, huddled together, confronting a couple of security guards who were trying to break up a verbal altercation. "Hey!" Amir's voice cut through the chaos like a knife. Sarah watched as he made his way to the group, the confidence in his stride making her feel a swell of admiration. The teens were tense, their expressions torn between defiance and fear. She could feel their pain, how they felt unseen, unheard. Just like she often did. "What's happening?" Amir asked, his tone calm yet commanding. The guards looked at him, surprise flickering in their eyes that someone would dare to intervene. "One of them stole something," one of the guards replied, pointing accusingly to a lanky boy, his eyes darting nervously. "No way!" Amir protested, stepping between the kids and the guards. "You're just going to assume he's guilty without even hearing him out? That's not how this works." The tension hung thick, all eyes on Amir as he faced the guards with unwavering confidence. Sarah felt her pulse quicken, a mixture of fear and thrill. This was new territory for her. Would Amir's boldness incite anger or build a bridge? "Right, let us all just calm down," he continued, his voice steady. "Why don't we talk this out? You don't have to bully these kids." With every word, Sarah saw Amir's passion shine through, turning his presence from a mere figure into a local hero. The guards exchanged glances, visibly taken aback. Meanwhile, the boy, still trembling, looked like he was about to unravel. Sarah approached them slowly, her instinct reminding her to breathe, to be grounded. "Why don't you tell us what happened?" she asked gently, kneeling beside him. The boy's eyes flickered up, unsure whether to trust her. "I didn't steal anything. I was just trying to defend my friend," he stammered, his voice breaking. "They thought we were causing trouble, but we weren't. We just wanted to hang out." Amir listened intently, and as the boy spoke, a connection began to form. They both understood that feeling of being cornered, of being labeled. Sarah felt a rush of empathy, her heart swelling for this boy who was suddenly so relatable. "See?" Amir addressed the guards. "This isn't just about them being wrong or right. It's about understanding where they're coming from. We need to show them there's a better way, not just punish them." The guards shifted uneasily, perhaps re-evaluating their approach. There was power in Amir's words and the sincerity of their intentions. Sarah felt the weight in the air start to lift. With every passing moment, the interaction transformed before her eyes. It wasn't just about the boy's fate, it was about creating a shift in a system that felt so rigid and unyielding. Could this be the change she had wanted to be part of? Her heart raced with hope, but as she stood there, a sense of unease lingered in her gut. Would this moment prove to be just another fleeting encounter? Could they truly impact these young lives amidst the backdrop of the chaos surrounding them? Just as she wondered about the aftermath, she noticed a shadow shift among the crowd, a figure watching intently from afar. Who were they? What were their motives? Sarah's thoughts swirled with questions, brimming with both excitement and apprehension. Together, they were fighting for more than just this boy, they were fueling a fire for change. And yet, the reality loomed over her: some battles would still lie ahead. Could they truly stand together against everything the world might throw at them? As Sarah turned to Amir, she felt a rush of determination surge through her. With a new mission igniting her spirit, what would they do next? The murmur of the crowd echoed like a heartbeat, each pulse filled with anticipation. Sarah felt her stomach twist as she watched Amir stand his ground, a voice of reason amplifying against the chaos. Every moment simmered with potential. Could they really make a difference today? The guard shifted, his expression mixing uncertainty with irritation. "This isn't a discussion," he protested, crossing his arms. But Amir didn't budge, standing as tall as a tree against the winds of authority swirling around them. "He's scared," Amir countered, his voice rising above the din. "A label doesn't define who he is. Let's give him a chance to speak." Sarah couldn't help but admire Amir's bravery. His passion breathed hope into the gathered teens. She knelt beside the boy, trying to mirror his openness. "What's your name?" she asked gently. "Rami," he whispered, his eyes wide but glistening with a flicker of trust. "I was just trying to help my friend, that's all." "See?" Sarah encouraged, glancing back at the guards. "People deserve to be heard. Can't we see where this goes?" There was a shift in the air, a certain charge that hinted change might be brewing. For a brief moment, silence descended upon the group. The guards, who had initially appeared authoritarian, now seemed human, their frowns loosening as they took in the scene. The hesitation between the guards and the teens mirrored the uncertainty swirling in Sarah's chest. Rami continued, "I saw them picking on him. He didn't have a chance, so I stepped in." His voice trembled slightly, but determination sparked behind his words. "If I'm gonna get in trouble, I at least want it to mean something." Amir nodded, saying, "You made a choice, Rami, and that speaks volumes." He turned to the guards again. "Let us not punish someone for standing up. Isn't that what we want to encourage?" A murmur rippled among the crowd, a shared understanding blossoming among them. Some teens shared glances, a flicker of camaraderie sparking between them, igniting a collective resistance to the fear that had bound them. As Sarah felt the energy shift, her heart raced anew, not from fear, but from something beautiful blooming in this disarray. Could they create a space where kids like Rami felt safe? Where their voices mattered? But just then, the shadow she had seen earlier stepped forward, cutting through the moment like a pair of scissors through paper. Eyes narrowed, the figure had a charisma that captured the crowd, pulling their gaze. "A bold move, isn't it?" he said, a smirk curling his lips. He looked too polished, standing in stark contrast to the raw emotions already floating in the air. "Interfering with authority and protecting a thief," he added, contempt dripping from every word. Sarah's stomach dropped. Who was this person? It was like a storm brewing on the horizon, threatening to spoil the fragile feelings of connection they had just started to build. Amir turned sharply, confronting the newcomer. "Who the hell are you to judge?" An electric silence fell over the crowd. Sarah held her breath, the air thick with tension. The figure's response faded into the background, drowned out by the pounding of her heart. She knew whatever happened next would change everything. And amid the shifting dynamics, Sarah looked to Amir, catching the flicker of doubt in his eyes. Was he feeling the weight of an oncoming storm? This moment felt critical, and she needed to grasp it. Time for action is now, she thought, biting her lip. But just as courage bolstered her, a chilling thought crept in. Would they have the guts to stand up against this man and defend not just Rami, but the ideals they started fighting for today? The air crackled with potential, and Sarah felt a rush of determination welling up inside her. What would they face next? Would they continue to rally against those who turned their backs, or would fear take hold? "Who are you to judge?" Amir's voice rang out defiantly, breaking the tension that buzzed in the air. Sarah could see the crowd shift, eyes darting between Amir, the polished figure, and Rami, who was still crouched down like a shattered piece of glass. The stranger took a step closer, his demeanor radiating arrogance. "I'm just someone who calls out nonsense when I see it," he replied. The corners of his mouth curled into a condescending smile, which only seemed to deepen the cracks in the atmosphere. "And right now? You're all just a bunch of kids playing at rebellion." Something inside Sarah snapped at his mockery. This wasn't a game, and these weren't just kids. They were souls yearning for a place to belong, for respect and understanding. "Rebellion?" she echoed, forcing the words out past the tightness in her throat. "No. It's more about standing up for what's right." The moment the words left her mouth, she could feel the collective energy shift again, as if they finally had a shared heartbeat. "Your little group here doesn't understand authority," he shot back, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "What happens when you get in over your heads? When the grown-ups decide to put you back in your place?" The crowd shifted uneasily, casting glances at one another. Maybe it's time for the grown-ups to listen. Amir's eyes blazed, challenging the stranger. Or maybe it's time they understood that it's not just about authority, it's about humanity. Sarah's heart swelled at Amir's bravery. He was speaking for all of them. There was something enchanting in their unity, a fire igniting hope in the hearts of those gathered. Rami watched closely, the growing determination evident in his stance. "Listen to him," Rami said, finding his voice. "I didn't do anything wrong by helping someone who couldn't defend himself. That's what we're all scared of, being pushed down because we decide to stand for someone else." The onlookers began to murmur in agreement. There was a palpable shift in the crowd. It was as if the wind had changed directions. But just when Sarah thought they could gain momentum, the stranger's smirk deepened. "So, you want to play the hero? Then come with me. Let us see how much good that does when you're facing real consequences." "What does that mean?" Sarah asked, stepping forward, her voice unwavering. "It means," he said, lowering his voice, "that your little rebellion is about to face a reality check. Why don't we schedule a little meeting? Just you, your friends, and, let us say, some people who can really help you understand the stakes." The challenge dangled in the air like a dark cloud, looming over them. The crowd fell silent once again, uncertainty creeping back in as eyes flitted to Amir and Rami, waiting for a response. Fear rushed through Sarah, but she quickly fought against it. Was this a trap? How could they be certain of their next move? Yet, she could see Amir, his expression fierce, the faintest glimmer of hope resting in his eyes. "Let us do it," Amir said, his voice steady despite the threat. "We stand together, no matter what. We'll meet you, but on our terms. Brave or foolish?" Sarah whispered to herself, gripping Rami's shoulder for support. The stranger threw back his head, laughter spilling out like water over rocks. "Oh, you'll see. You're stepping into a world that's not as simple as your little utopian dreams." Yet, despite the foreboding words, a flicker of determination lit up Sarah's heart. They had deemed change possible, but this was just the beginning. As if sensing her resolve, Amir reached over and squeezed her hand. "What comes next?" Sarah thought. But with every uncertain moment that loomed ahead, she realized there was one question that stood above the rest: would they be ready to face the truths lurking in the shadows? And that thought dug deep into her chest, making her wonder just how far they could go, and if they would ever find the courage to forge ahead into the unknown. The atmosphere hung heavy as the last echoes of the stranger's laughter faded into silence. Sarah's heart raced like a drumbeat in her chest, but there was no retreat. Turning to Amir, she felt the weight of their decision settle around them like a cloak, binding them tighter together. "What do we do now?" Rami asked, his voice barely above a whisper. His eyes mirrored the uncertainty everyone felt, the flickering doubt dancing just beneath the surface. "We prepare," Amir said, his tone firm. "We need to know what we are up against. They want to shake us? Let us show them we're more than just kids." He looked around at the gathering. Faces were tense, yet a few wore expressions of newfound resolve. Sarah took a deep breath, grounding herself. "Are we ready to face whatever this meeting holds? This could be a pivotal moment for us." She scanned the crowd, her heart tightening with anticipation. They were in this together, yet the fear of the unknown clawed at her thoughts. Suddenly, the stranger's dark eyes pierced through her mind like a haunting echo, and Sarah felt something snap inside her. "We can't let them intimidate us," she declared, feeling the fire in her belly rise. "If they want to meet, let us make sure we go in knowing exactly who we are and what we stand for." "Right," Rami nodded, the spark of courage flickering back into his eyes. "We need a plan. Knowledge is power." The group began to chatter, voices rising and mingling, each word fanning the flames of purpose. They spent the next few hours discussing what they knew, finding common threads among their struggles, and weaving a tapestry of hope. Laughter began to break through the shadows, and with it, Sarah felt the weight on her shoulders lighten. They were forming a bond, solidifying their resolve. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the glow tinted the sky with oranges and purples. It was beautiful, and in that moment, they could almost forget the storm preparing to strike. But they couldn't afford to let their guard down. The stranger had turned their lives upside down, and they needed to be ready for whatever came next. "Tomorrow at noon, we'll meet with him," Amir declared, his tone commanding. "But we'll be ready. We stand united, and we will show everyone what we're capable of." But doubt lingered in Sarah's mind. What if they weren't enough? What if their beliefs crumbled under the weight of reality? She pushed the thoughts away, squeezing Amir's hand tighter. "Remember why we're doing this," Amir said, noticing Sarah's apprehension. "We're not just standing for ourselves. We're standing for everyone who feels voiceless." A collective silence fell as they absorbed Amir's words. It was true, they weren't alone. Burden soft of insecurities lifted, replaced by the warmth of solidarity. As they broke up, Sarah lingered a moment, watching her friends depart. How had it come to this? They were just kids, trying to navigate the labyrinth of expectations and societal judgment. Yet here they were, ready to challenge the status quo. A sudden chill swept through the air, sending a shiver down her spine. What lay ahead was uncertainty, but the significance of their fight pulsed within her. With each heartbeat, she realized she couldn't run away from it. They had braved the first steps, there was no turning back now. As shadows drew longer, Sarah made her way home, thoughts swirling. Would they be able to face the truths lurking in the shadows? She was determined to find out, even if it meant stepping into the storm. Where would the path of courage lead them next? Would they find strength in vulnerability, or get lost in the perilous game set before them? The uncertainty made her heart race anew, an exhilarating mix of dread and excitement. The morning light pierced through the curtains, draping the room in a soft golden hue. Sarah stirred, her dreams tangled with thoughts of the meeting ahead. Today was not just another day, it felt monumental. The breaths she took were measured, as if the universe was holding its breath alongside her. She lay there for a moment, summoning the courage to face what awaited. After a quick breakfast and a hasty goodbye to her parents, Sarah stepped outside. The air was crisp, and she felt a mix of nerves and excitement coursing through her. Each footstep echoed with purpose as she made her way to the park where they planned to meet. As she arrived, she spotted Amir and Rami, both deep in conversation. "Hey!" she called out, forcing a smile despite the knot in her stomach. They turned, and Amir's eyes sparkled with reassurance. "Ready for today?" he asked, adjusting his backpack. Sarah wished she could answer confidently, but the truth was layered beneath her bravado. "Yeah, I guess we have to be." Moments later, their friends trickled in, each bringing a distinct energy. The initial nervous energy was palpable, a live wire buzzing between them. They huddled close, voices low, sharing last-minute strategies and whispered encouragements. Rami's laugh felt like a lifeline, breaking the tension. "Remember, we're not here to please him," he said, trying to lighten the mood. "We're here to show him who we are." "Exactly," Sarah added, feeling the fire ignite again within her. "We may be young, but we have a voice." As the clock ticked closer to noon, they made their way to the designated spot. A worn-out bench under the shade of an old oak tree served as their meeting ground. It felt oddly poetic, like something out of a storybook. Wondering what the stranger was planning, doubt crept in again, silent and insidious. Would he even listen? Would he dismiss them like everyone else? Taking a deep breath, Sarah brushed the doubts aside. Whatever happened, they wouldn't go down without a fight. Then, just as the sun stood directly above them, the atmosphere shifted. The stranger approached, his figure tall and imposing against the vibrant sky. He exuded an air of confidence, but Sarah could sense the unease piercing through her group. "Glad you decided to meet," he said, his voice smooth yet hold a hint of condescension. "You're here to convince me. Make it good." Every heart raced like a drum in an echo chamber, nerves bouncing off one another. Sarah glanced at Amir, who nodded subtly, an unspoken signal to take the first step. This was the moment they had prepared for. Every late-night conversation, every shared fear had led them here. "Why should we listen to you?" Sarah said, her voice steady. We've all faced struggles that many don't understand. We're not just kids looking for approval. We're standing for our generation. For the ones who feel no one else listening. For a fleeting moment, surprise flickered in the stranger's eyes. It was enough to feel the winds of change beginning to stir. Interesting point, he said, folding his arms. But words don't mean anything without action. Then let us act, Amir shot back, stepping in beside Sarah. His confidence was contagious. We're ready to show you how our voices carry weight. It's time we start a real conversation. A tense silence fell. Sarah held her breath, feeling vulnerability mingling with strength. Would it be enough? And then, just like that, the stranger's gaze shifted away to the old oak tree. All right. Let me see what you have. Hope teemed within Sarah, but a voice lingered at the edge of her mind, warning her not to underestimate him. They had entered a different kind of battlefield today, one where emotions hung high and the stakes were anything but clear. As they prepared to reveal their vision, she felt one powerful thought ignite in her mind: what if this was not just the beginning of a confrontation, but the start of something so much bigger than they could imagine? In that charged moment, she realized they were stepping onto a path fraught with challenges. Would their courage be enough to carve out a new destiny? A world where they would no longer live in the shadows of others' expectations? With hearts beating as one, they braced for the truth to unfold. Would they find the connection they desperately sought, or would they shatter against the walls built around their opponent? As the air hummed with a nervous stillness, Sarah took a deep breath, her heart thudding loudly in her chest. In a world where young voices were often muffled, they stood here ready to rise above the noise. This wasn't just about them anymore, it was for every unnoticed dream, every struggle whispered away in the shadows. Rami stepped forward first, his voice steady but laced with urgency. We want to show you our project. It's called Voices Unheard, aimed at helping our community tackle pressing issues. We want to empower those who feel invisible. The stranger's eyebrows arched curiously, a flicker of interest traveling across his face. Empowerment? He echoed, barely masking his skepticism. That a buzzword? What does it even mean in your world? Amir interjected, his eyes sharp and determined. It means giving people the tools they need to effect change. It's about training the next generation to advocate for themselves. No more waiting for permission, we take action ourselves. Sarah felt the shift in the air. Each word they spoke was building a bridge, one made of shared dreams and renewed hopes. We plan to hold workshops, she continued, emboldened by the camaraderie around her. To teach skills that will help our peers find jobs, express themselves, and take part in decisions that affect them. The stranger's posture softened slightly as he continued to listen, but his expression remained skeptical. And why would anyone want to give you the space to lead this endeavor? What makes you think your voice matters? There was a collective intake of breath, a moment of hesitation that hung heavy. But Sarah's resolve hardened. Because we're living it, she asserted, her voice gaining strength. We've felt lost, unheard, and sidelined. But we won't just sit back and let it happen. We deserve a seat at the table, just like anyone else. A murmur of agreement rippled through their group. Energized, Rami brought forth a sketch from his backpack, a vision board detailing their plans. Check this out. We've mapped out potential workshops, outreach programs, and community partnerships. This isn't just empty talk, it's a real plan. The stranger didn't take the board right away. Instead, he studied each of them, gauging their determination, their passion. Sarah met his gaze, holding her breath. What if he didn't like it? Finally, with a measured gesture, he accepted the board. Interesting, he said, flipping it over. He scrutinized every inch, every detail drawn with care. As the silence stretched, Sarah's heart raced. She could feel the weight of the moment, hope wrapped around her like a fragile thread. Would it hold, or would it break? Then, unexpectedly, he lifted his eyes, intrigue flickering behind them. You all clearly care deeply. But intention is one thing. Delivering results, that's another. You'll need to show me proof that you can do this. Proof? Amir echoed, his brow furrowing. What do you consider proof? We're just starting out. You want to convince me? Bring me a small success, the stranger replied. Show me your impact, and I might consider supporting you further. But without action, this is just talk. A wave of frustration washed over Sarah, blending with determination. They had already planned so much, and yet, one last hurdle loomed before them. But she couldn't back down now. Then we'll show you. As they gathered together, determined whispers circled among the group. Ideas sparked, plans took shape. It was clear they weren't just fighting for validation anymore, they were playing for something much larger, a chance to change the narrative. With every heartbeat, they drew closer to a goal that felt more tangible than ever before. Yet, as Sarah looked at the stranger's impassive expression, a gnawing question lingered in her mind. Would they really be able to turn their vision into reality, or was this merely another battle they were destined to lose? As they departed from that moment, Sarah felt a blend of fear and excitement. The call to action rang louder than ever, they weren't retreating. This was just the beginning. Would they discover the strength to bring their dreams to life? And what challenges awaited them on that unexpected journey? They gathered at Amir's house that evening, the dim light casting soft shadows on their determined faces. The smell of takeout food lingered in the air, but all anyone could think about was the weight of the task ahead. They didn't need to linger on the stranger's challenge. That spark had ignited something within each of them, a desire to prove that their dreams could transform into reality. Okay, let's brainstorm, Sarah said, her voice firm and clear. She looked around the table, meeting each of their eager eyes. We need something concrete, something that can demonstrate our impact quickly. Rami drummed his fingers on the table, lost in thought. What if we host a community cleanup day? It would not only make a difference in our neighborhood, but we could invite people to share their stories. Amir nodded enthusiastically. That could work. We could set up a booth, collect names and signatures, and perhaps get some feedback on what issues they care about. It can show that we're engaged and ready to listen. Skepticism crept in for Sarah, a familiar wavering of confidence. It's a good idea, sure. But what if only a handful of people show up? We need them to see us, to feel our presence. You're right, Rami said. But we have to start somewhere. What if we reach out to local schools? They can help us rally volunteers and spread the word. Amir flipped open his notepad, scribbling down notes as their ideas started to flow. We should create flyers, post on social media, maybe even partner with a local organization for better reach. Fueled by their collective energy, Sarah felt the meeting shift from uncertainty to excitement. The focus was no longer just about them or whether their plan was good enough. They were working towards something real, a unified effort that held the potential for greater change. As the night wore on, laughter mingled with deep discussions. They shared stories about their communities, the people they loved, and the ones who had felt invisible for far too long. Each story breathed life into their mission, a reminder of why they were fighting. Honestly, I just want everyone to believe they can matter, Sarah confessed, her voice trembling slightly. I want them to know their stories are worth sharing. Rami reached across the table and squeezed her hand. And we will show them. We'll create that space for voices. They wrapped up their meeting with resolve, mounting anticipation for what lay ahead. As they dispersed into the cool night air, Sarah's mind raced. Could they really make an impact? What if they didn't draw a crowd? Or worse, what if they did, and it was a disaster? Doubts peppered her thoughts, but the warmth of their shared dream ignited a flicker of hope. The next day arrived, filled with tasks to tackle. They split into small groups, whipping up flyers while Amir coordinated with schools. The air was electric with purpose, yet an undercurrent of anxiety flowed through Sarah. Every time someone asked about the cleanup day, her stomach tightened. But with every flyer delivered and every like on their social media post, that tightening gave way to a spark. What if the community showed up? What if their project became bigger than them? The strength of their unity washed over her like a wave. Let us do this. We can't back down now, she declared as they met again, ready for the big day. And as she looked into her friend's eyes, she knew their shared journey had only just begun. But just as they drew up plans, an unexpected message pinged on Amir's phone, causing the room to freeze. It was from the stranger, the one who had set them on this path. Sarah's heart raced at the thought, what could he possibly want now? The air was thick with anticipation as Amir read the text aloud. I'm interested to see your progress. I'll be stopping by tomorrow. Gasps filled the room. Uncertainty fluttered like a caged bird. This was at the moment they had worked for, and it came with its own weight. Wait, is he coming to judge us? Rami jumped in, his brow furrowing. Will he trample our dreams before they even start? No. Sarah responded, surprising herself with the sudden heat in her voice. This is our chance to show him what we can do. We've planned, we just need to execute. As the group rallied around her, she felt hope reigniting. They spent the night finalizing details, designing posters, and planning activities that would engage potential volunteers. Their energy surged, fueled by purpose. Everyone felt electric, ready to prove that a small group of passionate individuals could stir change. The sun rose to a brilliant morning, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. Excitement coursed through Sarah, mingling with a twinge of nerves. She arrived at the park, her heart thumping in her chest like a marching band. As more faces appeared, her worries began to dim. The community began trickling in, laughter mixing with the chirping birds. Amir, Rami, and the others began to set up booths and displays. Sarah stepped back to look at it all, the tables, the posters, and the enthusiasm bubbling among those who came. She wondered if today might finally be the turning point they all sought. As the scheduled starting time approached, the crowd had grown, the chatter buzzing like a swarm of bees, a sweet, hopeful symphony. Just then, Amir spotted the polished figure approaching with a confident stride. Sarah's heart skipped, but she stood tall, resolute. This was their moment. Ladies and gentlemen, Amir called, gathering everyone's attention. Silence fell over the crowd, and Sarah felt the flutter of anticipation. Thank you for being here today. This is about all of us, our stories, our voices. She felt a sense of growth, a fierce pride swelling within her. The nervousness that had clutched at her heart began to ease as the crowd whispered encouragements and nodded in agreement. They had come together. Rami stepped forward, eager, we're here to not just clean up our community but to uplift it. Every story matters. He gestured to Sarah, and she felt the weight of the moment. We've created this event not just to clean but to connect. To see who we are together. There was power in her voice as she scanned the faces in the crowd. Let us share our dreams, let us listen, and let us help one another. One by one, the teens led different activities, games, art projects, and sharing stories. Laughter poured like sunlight, and even the shyest participants began to join in. As the sound of spilling paint and joyful cheer filled the park, Sarah could feel change blooming in the air. But then she spotted the stranger, his eyes scanning the unfolding tapestry of hope. Would he see their impact? Would he notice? Anxiety shot through her once more as she caught Amir's eye, and a comforting smile spread across his face. He believed in them, and that was enough. Hour by hour, the energy transformed. People began sharing tales of overcoming hardships, of joy mingled with pain as they painted their visions of a better tomorrow. Then, in a moment of clarity, Sarah took a deep breath and invited the stranger onto the stage. Now, you've seen us, and we want to hear from you. What do you think? The crowd murmured, uncertainty flickering, but Sarah felt courage bubbling within. He stepped forward, his demeanor shifting, perhaps even softened. "You surprised me," he admitted, scanning the vibrant scene around him, a hint of admiration in his eyes. "You've shown me a glimpse of what change looks like. But remember, it's easy to fade back into the shadows. Make sure to keep this fire alive." As the crowd erupted in applause, her heart soared. They had done it. And in that moment, surrounded by smiling faces sharing stories and laughter, Sarah realized the truth: this wasn't just a single act, but a heartfelt revolution. They owned their journey, ready to move forward, knuckles dusty but spirits soaring. Within the next few weeks, they received support from local businesses, gathering together even more resources to escalate their initiatives. Their little movement burgeoned into a community-driven wave, igniting courage in many, and Sarah stood at the forefront, ready to embrace the complexities of life. She now understood she had not just brought the neighborhood together but had also found herself. As she looked at her friends, wide smiles reflecting in her eyes, she knew they were ready for whatever came next, no longer trapped by fear but fueled by the beauty of community and transformation. This was only the beginning. They were ready to reshape their destiny together, step by step, heart to heart. And as they headed toward another day filled with possibilities, one thought resonated deep: in unity, the most profound changes bloom. Now, as you've followed this journey, I need you to act. If you love this transformation, subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the energy flowing. Comment your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support, and every action counts. Don't wait not even one more second to share.